Welcome to Mr. Foy's Easel. Well, we're in the holiday season. Of course, Thanksgiving is over, but I want to talk a little bit more and draw some cartoons about it. In fact, the whole program today is cartoonists and ideas they can get from various holiday traditions and events. Well, I think once before, I think it was last year, I started off by dealing with one of the most widely known symbols of Thanksgiving, and that is the turkey. And what I did in anticipating the arrival of Thanksgiving was to draw a turkey that looked like this. And this turkey, the reason he looks so anxious, he's looking at the calendar, and it's early November, and he's heard about Thanksgiving and America's favorite dinner entree. Well, before we get into the Christmas holidays, as I said, I want to spend a little bit more time on Thanksgiving. As I remember, I characterized Thanksgiving as, to a large extent, the time of the 3 F's. One of these F's is food, turkey, and a lot of other food that would be spread out at the big Thanksgiving dinner. And the other F is, second F is family. And the third one, at least for an awful lot of people, is football. Food and football and family, they really come together on Thanksgiving Day. Here's a fellow right here who's watching football. Let's let this represent the television set. And let's let his anatomy show that he's had plenty of food, you see. I don't want to point it out too much, but he's pretty contented, and must be a pretty good game because he's managing to stay awake, just barely. Well, another thing that we associate with Thanksgiving and Christmas simultaneously is the big shopping day, the day after Thanksgiving. It's what we all, as you know, what we call Black Friday, and that's when people really take off for the stores. And the link with Christmas, of course, is early Christmas shopping with big discounts and so on. I illustrated that once before, but here goes. There's my version of possibly what might happen at the opening of a store that's having a big Black Friday sale. Incidentally, not everyone, not all the stores wait until Black Friday to lure the shoppers in. On Thanksgiving Day, a lot of stores opened, and a lot of people got you might say, ahead of the game as far as madly shopping. Let's take a look at this fella here, the guy watching football. He's being, you might say, disturbed, and you'll know what I mean here in just a minute. Notice these little lines here. It's what you might call scuff marks. And what's causing these scuff marks anyway? Well, you'll see here in a minute. Here's the missus. And she knows, this is Thanksgiving Day, mind you, and she knows that some of the stores are open and ready for customers. And she doesn't really care that the game is tied and really about to come to a interesting conclusion. She says, I'm ready to go shopping now. Obviously, he doesn't have a lot to say about it. Of course, the next day is the Black Friday, which I've already shown you. So you see how Thanksgiving and Christmas are linked. Another link, of course, is, let me go back to the turkey. The turkey is not as closely associated with Christmas as it is with Thanksgiving, but anyway, just to repeat myself, here's not the same turkey, obviously, he probably didn't survive, but here's another turkey, and he's looking at the calendar that says December on it, you see. So there's another link. A lot of people do like turkey for the big Thanksgiving dinner, and as well as for the Christmas, and also for the Christmas dinner. Well, speaking of turkeys again, one thing that's interesting to me is to look at Christmas in other countries besides the U.S. I'm going to still use my calendar thing, but, well, in Germany, for example, one of the favorite things to have for Christmas dinner is goose. So there's, in Germany, this goose is looking at the calendar and knows, well, if his goose is cooked. Well, let's take a break and we'll come back and continue with Christmas and cartoons.
Home security is now available through Conway Corp. It's an advanced solution backed by people you know and trust. Customize your system with motion detectors, sensors, light controls, and more, all managed from your wireless touchscreen or mobile phone. It's an easy way to protect the things that matter and the ones who matter most. It's safety for you, powered by Conway Corp.
Well, we're back, and I was talking about Christmas dinner and what might happen to some bird that's primary interest for celebrators or celebrants. Well, you might be interested to know that in some countries, fish of some kind is the highlight of the Christmas dinner. And here, pay attention, kids. Spinach, boiled or otherwise prepared. And at least in one country, pancakes on Christmas Eve. And I'm sure there are a lot of variations on the menu if you go from one country to the other. One of the countries has some kind of barbecue feast at Christmas time. But I want to linger here a little bit with the pancakes. When they have the pancakes to eat on Christmas Eve, the tradition is that the people leave a little bit of the pancake on their plate This symbolizes the fact that they are thankful for having the food, and they know that they don't have to eat it all to sustain their strength or some such thing as that. Another difference, you might say, between American celebration of Christmas and the way other countries might do it. Okay, let me draw a cartoon and then I'll tell you what I'm talking about a little bit further. Here's someone enjoying Christmas under the sun down at the beach in Australia. Of course, you know, it's summertime down there. And you can see that somehow if you were in that position, you wouldn't feel like singing Fa La La or anything like that. Well, other countries have their version of Santa Claus, of course. In several countries of Europe, it's St. Nicholas. And sure, he comes around and brings gifts, but he arrives about December the 6th. And in some areas, instead of putting toys and goodies in the stockings, he puts such things in the children's shoes, which are left in the window of the house. So St. Nicholas, starting about, as I said, December the 6th. The countries, some of them have either Santa Claus or someone like St. Nicholas, which is pretty much the same kind of toy distributor. In one country, maybe more than one, this St. Nick or Santa, he comes around, but there's also an evil monster that comes around frightening the children who've been naughty. I don't know if he and Santa are friendly enemies or what. Of course, most of the figures that we see in the cartoons around Christmas time are jolly St. Nick and his helpers, the elves. And as far as I know, traditionally, America has not had any really mean guys, except, of course, with the Grinch. And of course, you know, the Grinch finally loses out at the end of the story. Well, Santa is a jolly elf, and he has more or less jolly elves working for him up at the North Pole leading up to Christmas. And when it gets to Christmas time proper, we are all thankful that if it's a foggy night, we have the famous Rudolph. And of course, all of you know what Rudolph's responsibility was, guiding Santa's sleigh tonight. Well, that's all, folks, for this edition of Mr. Foy's Easel. Merry Christmas, and remember, you can contact Mr. Foy's Easel at conwaycorp.com.